Name of Deputy Clare Daly.
Thanks, Count Corla. Minister, as you're aware, as we sit here, there are men, women and children, some of whom or their families have spent years in giving loyal service to the state, who are now facing eviction from their homes. My question is asking you to accept that this is not appropriate treatment of citizens who serve the state, and to ask you to stop this course of action and to instead engage for a progressive and more humane solution.
Thank you.
In February 1997, the then Minister for Defence set out policy on married quarters on the basis that they were largely an anachronism and that they should be discontinued in a managed and orderly way. Since then, my department has discontinued the practice of providing such accommodation. In addition, given the age of the housing stock, it has been found that over time the properties require a significant and disproportionate investment in order to ensure compliance with regulations regarding rental properties. In recent years, much of the stock has become unsuitable for habitation and has had to be taken out of use. Consequently, there has been a sharp decline in the number of married quarters in use, with only 25 serving personnel currently occupying married quarters in the Curragh. Where properties are located outside barracks, they are made available for purchase by tenants. For security reasons, properties located within barracks cannot be sold and are removed from the stock of available housing when they become vacant. Personnel are obliged under Defence Force regulations to vacate married quarters within a specified period of being discharged from the PDF. The term overholder is used to describe former members of the Defence Forces and their families who refuse to leave married quarters within 21 days of leaving the Defence Forces. My department is, in accordance with normal procedure, seeking vacant possession of overheld married quarters. The situation of overholders continuing to occupy married quarters is not sustainable. As my department is no longer in a position to subsidise housing for those who are not entitled to them, the department has had to take necessary action. Each overholder is being dealt with on an individual basis. My department does not have a role in the provision of housing accommodation for the general public. The securing of alternative housing is a matter for the individuals concerned in the first instance. If individuals are not in a position to secure housing in their own right, it may be the case that they qualify for social housing, or they qualify for some level of housing assistance. Officials of my department have met with Kildare County Council officials regarding overholders, so they are aware of the situation and will advise them of procedures and requirements when making applications for social housing.
Thank you. Deputy Daly.
Yeah, I'm afraid the Minister's answer doesn't deal with the reality of the situation. These aren't anachronisms or overholders. They're men, women and children, some with special needs and other difficulties. They're people who have attempted to engage in some instances with other state agencies like Kildare County Council and indeed with private lenders to secure mortgages and have been unable to do so because of their economic means or their age. Now, the problem here with your response, Minister, is a couple of things. While it may be military and defence forces policies that people should leave married quarters after they retire from the army, that has not been implemented, and you have the situation where families have lived there for years, in some cases decades, after the serving member retired and no action was taken. So to say you're not in the business of housing, but to take rent from these people, and the state has been doing that since 1922, means you were in the business of housing. You have left them there, and you do have a duty of care to them. I put it to you that no maintenance has been done. Your own departmental figures would show that, so it doesn't actually cost you anything. And I'm asking you again, could you intervene properly rather than evicting and making these people homeless?
Minister.
As is the Deputy's usual presentation, she's creating a drama and exaggerating the extent of any difficulties that exist. There are currently 29 married quarters being occupied by overholders in the Curragh camp. There are further 14 overholders in the Dublin area. The duration of overholding, or individuals retaining possession of properties that they should not have retained in circumstances where many former members of the Defence Forces who occupied such properties complied with regulations and vacated them. The duration of overholding ranges from 44 years to 10 weeks. That doesn't suggest that the Defence Forces have been taking a tyrannical approach to dealing with overholders or dealing with individuals. As I said in my answer to the question, regulations are in place. The regulations have been complied with for the vast majority of members of the Defence Forces who were provided with accommodation, who, upon leaving the Defence Forces or a short time thereafter, vacated that accommodation. There are a small number of people who failed to do so. The Defence Forces, in dealing with the issue, have had regard to the specific individual circumstances of individuals. Hence, as I noted, there's an individual who's been overholding for 44 years. And the matter will continue to be dealt with in a considered and appropriate way, but also, as we must do, having regard to ensuring that people, where they can do so, comply with their legal obligations.
Deputy Daly.
While you may think it dramatic, I don't think it's dramatic for some of the individuals involved, some of whom, one family, for example, with 3 children, 2 of whom have serious special needs and a very ill wife in that situation, who have got a letter to leave that property. Someone else who's there since 1952, similarly been asked to leave, other court orders in other instances. I don't think that's dramatic. I think that's a shoddy way of people who serve the state loyalty. And I'm telling you, as I told you before, and it's a fact, I'm sorry about that, these have gone to other organisations and sought alternative accommodation, and they have been refused. So what I'm asking you is to engage with those people and treat them humanely. It is causing grave difficulty that one person is getting a letter or a court order, the person beside them isn't, but they don't know what date the postman's going to knock on the door or throw them out. You're talking about elderly people who are isolated, living amongst derelict dwellings. It's not a suitable way of treating people. You are the Minister responsible, and I am asking you to intervene, because the information that you're giving the House is not accurate. Some of these people have gone, sought alternatives and haven't got them.
Thank you. Minister.
Yeah, and as the Deputy should know, in dealing with this matter, the authorities within the Defence family have tried to deal with people in an appropriate way in the context of the legal obligations that those individuals have. Is the Deputy suggesting that members of the Defence Forces who cease to be members of the Defence Forces, should none of them complied with their legal obligations and vacated property that was known not to be available once you ceased to be a member of the Defence Forces? Now, I can assure the Deputy, that individuals in difficult circumstances have been and will continue to be dealt with in a humane way. But the Defence Forces and the state can't simply hand over these properties to individuals, properties they don't own, which are properties of the state, properties they were obliged to vacate, and ignore the reality of the legal position. And that would be completely and entirely inappropriate.
Thank you.